A child is born. With her first breath and first cry, the infant is placed on her mother's bosom and calmed. Her needs are met by gifts given by her mother to satisfy her need for food, shelter, warmth, and love. Other gifts are given by Mother Nature, air, water, and sun. She is surrounded and nurtured by other mother-earths, including her father, siblings, aunts, uncles, and later friends and teachers. She eventually learns to gift-giving others. She recognizes the gift economy as part of her life. What we really crave, says Rajani Kant, a prominent critic of Western culture and knowledge, is warmth, security, and care, the kinds of things we get at home and in close social units. Our greatest human need, he says, is something that is far humbler than launching rockets. We want to cuddle. Genevieve Vaughan, an independent philosopher, shows that a free giving economy that responds to the needs of others dates back to motherhood. The free giving economy exists to this day in the shadow of capitalism, which cannot survive without it, but which conceals and exploits it. Mothers, as well as other motherers, engage in free gift giving, not due to an essentialist biological instinct, but in response to the needs of the baby. Otherwise, she or he will not survive. The maternal gift economy, therefore, means the provision of goods and services in response to the needs of the other. It produces connection, sharing, and community. It stands in sharp contrast to the exchange principle that is positioned at the heart of the capitalist economy that preys upon the gifts of all, creating scarcity by channeling them away from the need of the many and transforming them into profit of the few. The exchange principle generates individualism, competition and hierarchy, power structures, and exploitation. It is not surprising that the current coronavirus pandemic demonstrates the failure of capitalism and the reliability of so many of us on gift giving by fellow citizens and state financial support, which in itself composed, in fact, of citizens' gifts of money. The motherly principle, free giving in response to the needs of the other, occurs in many aspects of our lives in the Western world, from gifts of nature, of sun, air, and water, through human gifts of ideas, knowledge, and friendship, to free giving reflected in organ transplants, knowledge, solidarity networks, activism, and philanthropy. Free giving that keeps expanding. Free giving is also known among animals and trees. In fact, evolution can be understood as based on giving and nurturing, as Elizabeth Saturis shows. It is important to see the role of gift giving as it emphasizes the material basis of life and the care of this materiality by mothers. Acknowledging the existence, importance, prevalence, and variety of the gift economy leads to perceiving human being as originally homo donans, a gift-giving people. Yet patriarchy, capitalism, and especially the exchange system as its core turns us away from our true nature. Since the pre-patriarchal matriarchies, through the rise of patriarchy as the negation of patriarchy, with its housewifeization and war culture, to contemporary capitalism that uses yet denies the gift economy, and in the current flourishing of the gift economy, particularly during the pandemic, the gift economy has played a major role in the survival of humans and nature. Gift economy is a central element in matriarchies, as well as many indigenous societies. Matriarchy exists to this day through, in less perfect forms, among, for example, the Mosu in China, the Minangkabau in Indonesia, and the Kazi in India. In 50 years of uncompromising and remarkable study, Heide Guttner Abendorf, as well as Toledo University Professor Barbara Alice Mann of the Iroquois Confederacy, Dartmouth Professor Ife Amadium of the Ingbu, Nigeria, and other scholars have unveiled non-patriarchal societies that are not a mere reversal of patriarchy, but egalitarian, balanced, peaceful, without hierarchies or classes. Matriarchies are based on the principle of gift-giving among their members and with other communities. Respect for nature, respectful individualism that ensures individual freedom, including sexual freedom, mutual responsibility, spirituality, collective mothering, and consensual decision-making. These sources of inspiration, the maternal gift economy, modern matriarchal studies, and indigenous wisdom, which go beyond common Eurocentric worldview, enabled me to imagine another world. In fact, a mother world. They are the foundations of my vision. Vision is my compass, a roadmap of my activism, always directed toward transforming the world, our doing, being, and thinking. Following the rejection of ideologies as consequences of the disaster of fascism and communism, as well as Margaret Thatcher's claim that there is no alternative, and especially the collapse of the Western world and white supremacy in the wake of the destruction of nature, wrongly understood as dead matter to use and exploit, I believe that vision re-enters social discourse to provide meaning and direction, to imagine the new possibilities and options that give us hope. Unlike ideology, vision is not a definitive conceptual system, a closed dogma, but rather a starting point for discussing definitions, values, and politics, open to disagreements, debates, and changes. It is not exclusive and certainly has no authority, nor uses coercion. It is a basis for a different way of thinking and a starting point for another journey. Visions leads to actual ways of living. We walk the talk. Vision requires me to implement it in my daily life and in my relationships with others. As such, imagining a vision is an act of responsibility. The triple dimension of vision, critique of the existing world, imagining an alternative world, and doing, being, and thinking responsibly make vision a political endeavor. Theoretical references in Western sociology and theology to the concept of vision are sparse, referring especially to political and organizational definitions of practical, necessary future goals and targets. These do not seem sufficiently relevant to my view of vision, though I share with them the urge to change the world. They reveal, in fact, the deep meaning, importance, and usefulness of vision are yet unappreciated. English Wikipedia has but a very short item on vision, noting some of its varied usages such as perception of the future, foresight in psychology and business, the ability to predict future trends and plan accordingly. Feminists do talk and write about feminist vision, but too often they seem to present the issues of feminism needs to grapple with rather than a feminist vision of society. And of course, we cannot overlook the Jewish Chazon Acharit Hayamim, the vision of the end of days, which appears in the book of Yesaya and Micha, Yeshayahu v'Micha. Described there is a prophecy that at the end of time, many nations will recognize the God of Israel, and that peace will prevail throughout the world, which will make weapons unnecessary. Biblical scholar Yair Zakovich interprets these sources as envisioning a future of peace, justice, well-being, and harmony in Israel. Though instruction about how to get there and what is the implication for today's activities are insufficient, I find such analysis supporting my direction. And so are spirituality and shamanism that are central and meaningful in matriarchal and indigenous societies. Vicky Noble, a scholar, humanist, and healer, taught me that shaman, whether a woman or man, is a member of certain tribal societies who acts as a medium between the visible world and invisible spirit world, and who practices magic or secrecy for the purposes of healing, divination, and control over natural events. Vision is crucial in my lifelong activism. It first enables me to see a different, better, and more pleasant world, but also an attainable future. That's the utopian or transformative aspect of vision, the dream we look forward to and strive for. At the same time, it is subversive, as I learned from my colleague and friend, Dr. Tal Nitzan of the Hebrew University, as it does not accept the existing order as given, but rather it identifies and rejects the problems and failure of the current order and trusts our ability to transform it. Finally, vision creates hope of a different life for human beings and in nature, which by itself is very important for each of us, but especially for activists like myself. Hope is my belief as an activist that transformation is possible, even in the face of failures and critiques, and the understanding that perhaps the transformation I am struggling for will not occur in my lifetime. It is one of the forces, alongside with, for example, sisterhood and solidarity, that I am not willing to and cannot give up. Vision, therefore, is the necessary condition for political activism. My lifelong search for a vision, feminist, non-patriarchal, non-dominant, led me to the concept of rematriation, suggested by the poet Susan Deer Cloud of the Mohawk tribe. It calls us to reconnect with the legacy of mothers, to reclaim humanity's histories, stories, and values. It leads us to alternative sources of inspiration beyond the Western worldview, leading to a new way of thinking and a new paradigm, to enter the symbolic order of the mother, as suggested by the Italian philosopher Luisa Morero. This allows us to find our way out of the patriarchal order and begin to build a different world, to envision an alternative moral behavior we can all adapt, but also to envision the possibility of another society whose foundations are connectedness, community, inclusion, giving, spirituality, peace, balance, and respect for nature. Thank you.